How was your weekend? Did everybody have a good? Did you come to the AFRAM Festival?
I was actually out of town. So.
Really?
Yeah.
Good. Well, I just thought I'd share with you all the picture of the African American Heritage Festival so that you could see the crowd that was actually there, since the reports didn't indicate that. It was outstanding, and I wanted to thank Tanya Miller, who is our events coordinator director of our public affairs office, and Reggie Moore of Parks and Recreation, because I think the story that you read initially said it was a quiet AFRAM. I wish I could play the video for you so you could hear all the noise. When we had 7 national acts, and when they hit the stage, it was just unbelievable. We actually marched into the park around noon with a local band, marching band. The guests really didn't hit the stage till around 3 o'clock, and the park was as crowded as it could possibly be. The vendors were very excited because they were, money was well spent, but it was really a very exciting time for Baltimore. And so we look forward to next year, and Tanya and your team, thank you. Job well done. Y'all can applaud them. Yeah, good. So having said that, I wanted to move on to something that's happening in our city. Can we get our group in? I know you've seen these Hi. I know you have seen these flying around town, and I want to thank Director Michelle Pugh, who's been working with us for the last several months as it relates to dockless bike share. I know that they've been flying around the city for a few days, a couple months now. It seems like forever. But I wanted to introduce Michelle Pugh because she's going to talk about what we're doing with our bike share program. We also have John Lariat here, our Bike Advisory Commission, Sergio Silvestri from Lime, and Monica Laufer, who is from Bird. So, where's Councilman Costa?
To your left. Right?
Oh, there. He told me. You know what? He told me he was going to in Cornish.
And Liz Cornish from Bike.
Liz is yes, and in fact, Costello told me he was going to sneak in because I think we've caught him riding on these from time to time, and in an effort to make everybody legal in the process, we've entered into an agreement with both of these organizations. You'll hear about what we're doing with our bike share program, but dockless bikes are the wave of the future, and we're excited to be a part of that. So, Michelle.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Michelle Pugh. I'm the director of the Baltimore City Department of Transportation, and as Mayor Pugh stated, I am so happy to announce today that the city has signed a pilot agreement between Baltimore Department of Transportation and Lime and Bird Rides, Inc. There's Bird, there's Lime. For the last few months, DLT has received interest from private dockless companies that wish to operate in the city. As a result, DLT is excited to announce that we are partnering with these 2 companies with a program to provide access to dockless scooters, followed by dockless bikes to the citizens and visitors of Baltimore City. During this pilot period, DLT will assess and evaluate the effectiveness of a dockless program, which will assist in developing appropriate regulation for future companies that want to serve the citizens of Baltimore. Our ultimate goal is to give the citizens of Baltimore, as well as our visitors and those who come here to work every day, the ability to access a robust dockless program that works for everyone. DOT, though, is ending the current Baltimore bike share program. In time, we will also consider whether dockless and docked bike share can exist and be mutually beneficial. As the bike share programs come to close, as the docked bike program comes to close, we are working with vendors to remove and address the existing bike share inventory. Citizens who have purchased Baltimore bike share memberships should contact DOT by the end of September for refund information. Citizens can also visit our website to get updates on refunds. DOT is excited about the future of bike share in Baltimore. We know that dockless technology can provide the city of Baltimore with more multimodal approaches to travel. Thank you so much.
Any, John, did you want to share anything?
If you'd like, but
Councilman?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to thank the mayor and her team for moving forward expeditiously with this. We know we had some challenges with bike share. The mayor was very receptive to concerns about those challenges, and I'm just thankful that we're moving forward quickly. So thank you, ma'am.
Okay. John?
well, I would just add to Councilman Costello's comments. I want to commend the mayor and the director and the administration for really taking an innovative approach. I think the work that's going to be done here with the pilot program holds great promise for the future for dockless programs in Baltimore. I think it's best practices, and I think Baltimore is going to be leading the country in looking at and rolling out dockless bike share and dockless scooters. And we'll return to the question of docked programs when we have a good option to do that as well. But thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Director. We're really looking forward to this next phase of mobility in Baltimore.
Can we get your last name, John?
My last name is Laria, and for my mother's sake, there's no H in John. It's just Jon.
Jon. Yes. Denny Bird?
Sure. I mean, I'm happy to say a few words. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm Liz Cornish. I'm Executive Director of Baltimore. I really want to commend the City of Baltimore for examining how do we bring more active transportation options to the citizens here. Dockless provides an exciting option to make them accessible. One of the things that I'm most proud of in working with the city to develop this pilot program is that the City of Baltimore is leading the way in terms of how cities are developing these pilot programs. And one of those ways is to ensure that there are more bikes and scooters in the neighborhoods that need transportation options the most. This pilot will ensure that vendors that agree to participate will need to place bikes and scooters in neighborhoods that where 40% of households make $25,000 or less a year. Pardon me. And so that's a really important piece because we know that bike share in its existing form had its challenges, and one of the biggest challenges with a docked system is its ability to scale. And so the city's willingness to engage in this pilot program, our exciting inaugural partners in Lime and Bird are really going to make that happen and really start to address how can we think about creating a multimodal city for all. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Director Pusher.
So we're going to have them out front for you all to scoot around. Don't go far. Oh, well, you can, actually. It's up to you. Back to work. Not far away. Okay. Anybody else? Thank you. Any questions?
Pugh, I wrote one here.
Did you really?
So just for the record, I'm not sure if I can ask the question unbiased way. It was parked outside unless somebody else took it.
Once you disclose.
But that was my question, is that this issue is when you look at the app, I mean, you can see where they are, and they're all right in the harbor, generally. And I thought, the first thing I saw when I saw the app, wouldn't it be nice if these were literally everywhere?
Yeah.
Is that push to get more of them out?
Yes, with the agreement, we've identified especially neighborhoods that are low income and where the use is really important in terms of alternatives for transportation. So you'll be seeing them all over the city.
Is there a concern at all? I mean, I know there was a lot of instances of vandalism of the docks when we had bike share. Is there concern at all about vandalism of these bikes, or I mean, tampering with the equipment that these bikes have? I mean, I don't know 100% how they work, so I'd like
to talk about
it.
No, we're not concerned about it. These operators have operated in many cities, and they come now to Baltimore with that experience. And if anything, you know, there are going to be a few things that may get damaged for one reason or another, but they're here because they know they can operate here.
So is the previous bike share program ending because of the thefts of the bikes, because of the damage to the docks that were done?
No, it's ending because we need to back up and reevaluate where we are. We're so excited that we have an alternate that's come online immediately, and over the next few months we'll reassess having dockless and docked, but right now we need to kind of look at something different.
What wasn't working? with the previous bike share?
So locations, kind of being able to maintain the bikes in a way where we could have a rotation of those bikes regularly. We're seeing, like in other jurisdictions, that the number of bikes and where and how to, I think it's called reload, how to recycle those bikes to have where they're needed is something that we're still challenged with. So we got to work on that.
What was the breaking point where you decided we need to retrench and end the dock share program?
Well, having an alternate was really a part of making this decision.
And when will they be officially phased out, the bike share program?
As of the end of this week, the bikes will be taken off of the street, and then over the next month or so, we'll be working with the vendor to finalize the contract.
Did you say there was a number, a percentage that had to be in certain neighborhoods? I think I missed that. You said that.
Yes, we do have numbers that we're expecting the new vendors to provide in certain neighborhoods.
And then the other thing that I'm riding it, at some point, it's possible that you could have a problem with somebody getting hurt or injured with that. I'm not sure if that's something that can ever be prevented, or if it's something you think about as it goes forward. Because when, that's when people who don't want to use it come up, they're like, oh, you're going to kill yourself for that. That's the initial reaction people have. What's your response to that?
So, we talk about safety all the time in DOT. Safety is really important when you're traveling in the public space, whether it be on your feet, on a bike, on a scooter, in a car, in a truck. We have lots of regulations in the city to encourage people to slow down, to cross at the crosswalk, to use bike lanes or not. And so with all these new forms of mobility, we all have to attack the way we travel in a more safe way. We have a campaign we announced a few months ago about Don't Be That Guy. And so, if you're looking at your phone while you're, or girl, yes, the generic term, right?
Right.
But, don't walk and look at your phone, really. When you're out traveling, you've got to be safe.
How long is the pilot program going to operate, and what are the terms of it? Like, how much is it going to cost the city?
6 months to operate. There's no cost to the city for the program.
How many bikes and scooters can we get launched?
We're expecting each vendor to go up to 1,000 vehicles of each kind.
Okay.
So the missing and stolen bikes had no influence on ending the bike share program?
Nope.
Part of the process. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Thank you all. I'm leaving too now. I have another announcement that I'd like to share with you. They'll be outside for you all. Okay. So you ask, why do they look like twins? Why are they dressed in white? Well, there is a reason. These two young ladies, a year ago, brought an event to Baltimore, the Dinner en Blanc. Well, it is returning on Thursday, August the 30th. The attire is white, white only. The annual, it's like a secret affair. It promises they promise another unforgettable evening of elegance, beauty, and magic. And it was truly magic. I attended last year. I want both Candace and Kimberly to talk to you about why they did this event, where it happened last year, and why they're bringing it back.
Okay. So good morning. I'm Candace Nice-Owens. I'm one of the co-hosts for
Let me just say, over 1,500 people attended the first one.
Yes, they did. Over 1,500 people attended, and as Mayor Pugh said, that we are the co-host of Les Dîners en Blanc Baltimore, and it took place in the Maryland Zoo last year. Every year it's done in a secret location, and we were super excited to have 1,500 amazing people from all over Baltimore and different areas to come and celebrate in this event with us. We thought it was important to bring it here because we love our city, and we know that Baltimore is known as the Charm City. city. And so we wanted to show the level of charm that we have here in Baltimore on an international scale. This event is held in over 80 cities across the world, and so therefore Baltimore last year was added to that number, and we were super excited to be able to say that we can bring this to our hometown and put our city on the map as well.
Yes. I don't know if I have anything else to add. You pretty much covered everything, yes. So yes, we this year we're anticipating over 2,000 people in attendance. Our registration is still currently open. It opened last week, well, 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
So we are almost sold out. So if anybody wants to attend, they have a few more days before we do sell out. And we're looking forward to hosting 2,500 of our friends somewhere in the city.
How do people find out where it is?
They'll find it when they get there.
Yep.
Well, they get notified, don't they?
So what happens is that every guest is asked to sign up for a departure point. So before they come to the event, when they sign up for their ticket, they have various departure points around the city that they get to pick. Some departure points are as far as Timonium, some are as, here as in the Inner Harbor. And so they're all over. So because they're coming from various parts, you don't know where this location is going to take place. So they are excited. They're dressed in their all white. And the thing about it is that we try to make the departure points in public places because what it does is market the event. And so people who are not attending the event are looking to say, what is almost like this flash mob of people in all white, and where are they going, and how do I get to go with them, because they look like they're about to have a lot of fun. And so they get to those departure points, and then the guest entrusts us to take them to where the secret location is going to be. Trust is a big factor. You have to trust us. Right. Absolutely. If you do not trust us, we can't do this.
It's like a voluntary kidnapping.
So. It really is. And you get to bring, and it's about fellowship, food, and music. And so the evening starts off with us sitting together and communing. And so the way that the rows are set up, everyone sits in rows, much like how this table is right now, and you have to come with a partner. So every guest has to have a partner with them because we want it to be about community. So you sit in this row, you fellowship together, you eat together. We do what's called a napkin wave, which symbolizes the beginning of dinner. And then after that, once dinner is done, we do a sparkler lighting, which means that now the dance floor is open. And so there's no talking. You just hear these announcements that say, welcome to Le Dîner Blanc en Baltimore, and we're about to begin dinner. And so it's a really fun event. Everyone has to be in all white, and there are rules and regulations to the white. So you are asked to dress in your best white. We want to show that Baltimore has style, we have elegance, and we can hang with the best of them. And so it's all about what you look like too. So people are super excited. This year we're going to be doing a best dressed male and best dressed female, as well as a centerpiece design contest, because people are bringing their own centerpieces, their own tables, their own chairs. You, the guest, are really building this event in the middle of a secret location. And it's kind of like Cinderella. So at the stroke of, whatever the end of the night is, everything goes back to what it looked like before we got there, a blank canvas. And so you're like, did that really just happen? Were there really thousands of people there having a great time? So it's a really fun, magical kind of night.
Any questions? All right, we'll see you all there.
All right,
see you there. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll see you there. I wanted to, I'm going to open it up for questions. I'm sure you all have several questions, and before we leave, I'd like to address the Hopkins issue. Any questions for me? Don't let me leave now, because I'll dash out here quickly.
Do you agree with the council members?
Let me be real clear about Hopkins. First of all, Hopkins does not exist on an island. It's not 20 miles outside of Baltimore. The hospital is in the middle of the city. It's in East Baltimore, where we have a violence reduction initiative. East Baltimore, which has been one of our high crime rate areas in the city. It's also in our northern police district, and very close to some of the activity. And if you would look at the data, you will see that they too have had to, and our police officers are not on the campus of Johns Hopkins University. That is absolutely not the case. They are patrolling in the neighborhoods of Johns Hopkins University and Johns Hopkins Hospital. But I also want to be clear that Johns Hopkins is the #1 employer in our city. It was Johns Hopkins University that helped to fuel development in the East Baltimore community. It was Johns Hopkins University that gave $35,000 per employee to live near where you work. In fact, in FY17, Hopkins committed over $61 million of addressable spend to minority and women-owned businesses. They hired, just in the last year, some 350 Baltimore City residents who lived in the targeted zip codes that we're talking about, and 130 returning citizens. This is just in 2017. They've invested or committed more than $50 million to this 20-year development of $1.6 billion to mixed-use revitalization efforts. And let me just say, their effort, what Johns Hopkins did over in East Baltimore, sparked what University of Maryland is doing over in West Baltimore. They started out with $35,000. University of Maryland now offers $20,000, almost $20,000 to individuals who will live near where they work. And then that sparked LifeBridge Hospital to do the same thing. Johns Hopkins University has been a leader and a real good partner to the city of Baltimore. When I think about, just for example, the Youth Works program, they hire more than any other entity in the city. Over 700 young people got to work at Johns Hopkins because they are a part of our city, and we're grateful for that. Hopkins also pledged some $10 million over the next 5 years towards the estimated cost of the efforts to help us to reduce and work on issues in neighborhoods. For example, Hopkins University is investing some $13 million to improve the streetscape of Charles Village Retail District on 33rd Street and St. Paul. That construction begins, I believe, in 2019. As it relates to crime and crime intervention, when I was looking for $10 million to bring ROCA to Baltimore that focuses on 17 to 24-year-olds who are involved in criminal activity, who steps up to the plate first? Johns Hopkins. $2 million given to the city promised as it relates to ROCA. Johns Hopkins offers scholarships. They've been a visionary in terms of the work that's being done in our city. When I think about just the vision program alone, young people in our school system who've been labeled because they just can't see, over 3,000 eyeglasses that they sponsored for young people in our city. Again, Johns Hopkins does not exist on an island. They exist in our city. While they have their security force on their campus, unlike our public institutions that have armed forces on their campus, they do not. They are in a neighborhood. They are in a community that has seen change over the years, not just because Johns Hopkins is there, but because the investment that they've made, but the investment that the city is making as well. One of our strategic decision centers is located in East Baltimore, where Johns Hopkins Hospital happens to be located because of the violence that exists in that area. So I am supportive of the work that's being done by Hopkins, and when it comes to overtime, anytime there's overtime accrued, they have paid for overtime for officers who work specifically for them. That is also the same case with many of the retail establishments, whether it is Marshalls or the drugstores or whatever. They can hire police officers. Our police officers are strategically located in areas that are important to all of us. Everybody wants to see a police officer walking the beat of their neighborhood. I think our commissioner mentioned to you all just about a week ago that he's put 117 more officers on the streets of our city. Baltimore's police department is engaged in protecting and serving the citizens of Baltimore, the visitors that are here, the students that are here, the communities in which they live. And that is the job of our Baltimore police officers.
So you don't see this Hopkins detail as taking officers away from their regular posts?
It's the Hopkins area. It's the community. Johns Hopkins, they're not on Johns Hopkins campus. They're in the community of Johns Hopkins. You know, we have a tendency to call it, because they are the largest employer in the area, but there are also homeowners in that area. There are also renters in that area. There are also retail establishments in that area. They should be in that area, as they are in the neighborhoods of University of Maryland, as they are in the neighborhoods of Morgan State University, as they are in the neighborhoods of Coppin State University. But Johns Hopkins Hospital happens to be in one of our violence reduction areas.
For Johns Hopkins University, this past winter, they were looking at installing a private police force.
Right.
Was that something that you were in favor of? I know you can't
Absolutely.
say over it, but
I was.
okay. So
Because if you look around the country, University of Pennsylvania, Harvard, all of these other private institutions, they all have their own police forces on their campus. They do not. We have police forces on Morgan State University's campus that are armed. We have police forces on Coppin State University's campus that are armed. That is the reality of life.
would possibly having your own private force, if that gets voted on by the General Assembly, would that then sort of help take officers off those neighborhoods or those areas that the
Well, I think what they want to do is make sure they're protecting on and around their campus, but we're making sure that we protect around the campus and the community that is there. You know, I don't think that we would not neglect our duty as a force to protect the neighbors and the communities and Hopkins that are there. No, we don't go on there. We're not on their campus unless we're called for a specific incident.
Commissioner Tuggle said that he's evaluating the deployment after the letter from the council members. Do you hope that the deployment continues as is?
Let me just say, the commissioner has a responsibility to run the police department, and every day he's looking at deployment, he's looking at opportunities to put more police officers on the streets of our city, and I'm confident that he'll make right decisions, but I'm sure that he'll come to the same conclusion that we've all come to, that, you know, everybody in our city deserves protection, every area of our city deserves protection, businesses, community leaders, neighbors, you know, it doesn't matter who you are. As far and wide as we can provide the service of our police department to our community, we will do so.
So you hope the detail stays as is?
I hope that the detail does what it's supposed to do, and that's cover the neighborhoods and the communities in which Johns Hopkins exist.
Mayor, there's been a couple incidents lately where developers ranging from Woodbury to Fells Point have run into issues with transform. Baltimore saying the zoning is one thing, but then overlays creating complications and eventually scuttling development proposals. Do you feel that Transform Baltimore is simple enough and that it allows developers enough confidence to start proposing building, knowing that they'll get what they think they are able to build?
Well, I want to be real clear about how we transform our city. You know, one of the things that we have to take in consideration, I think if anybody's been through the rainstorms this week, every problem you might have as it relates to water has revealed itself. I had someone tell me that water just came gushing into the walls of their house. The people on Frederick Road, for example, where we built new development above them, but we didn't really take a look at the impact. We've got to be very considerate as it relates to development, as to how we continue to move in terms of the drainage, our water system, our piping system. So one of the things that I pride us on is, one, hiring additional engineers to really take a look at, you know, how we're developing and moving development forward. Our goal is to make development accessible to those who are doing what is necessary for the citizens of Baltimore and for the future of our city. But at the same time, we want to make sure that we're protecting all citizens, those who are here currently and those who are homeowners, and that we're making sure that as we continue to revitalize our water, our piping system underground, as you all know, we're under federal mandate, that we make sure that we're making it available to all. So there's a lot of conversation, and we're hopeful.
Mayor, I'm just curious, and feel free to not answer this if you haven't heard this story, but there was a story last week about, and it's been going on for a while, the school over by the jail, St. Francis, their football team, and there's a lot of Baltimore kids that play on the team, but there are some kids from out of town that he recruits and brings in to play for that team. They've gotten to be this really great football team. They beat everybody last year like 70-0. And all of a sudden, after that, the teams that they played, Gilman, Mount St. Joe's, Calvin Hall, all said, we don't want to play them anymore. And so they don't play them this year. Have you seen that, and do you have any reaction to the way that's going?
I really haven't taken a close evaluation. I do know that St. Francis Academy is a really great school. In fact, I think they do a real great service to the community, especially around education. And I'm glad they have a really strong team, and I'd hope that we would all work it out as we continue to move forward.
And I should ask you about the officer. I don't know if you know the camera much about that incident that happened over the weekend.
I think, I made a statement, and I'll stick to my statement, that I think we all were shocked to see the actions of the officer. We are doing not just cultural diversity training in our police department. We're under federal mandate as it relates to training our police officers. And as has always been said at every graduation, it's not about arresting people, it is about the relationships that we build. But restraint is important as a police officer because they confront so many different issues in the streets. He will have his day in court, and so we'll wait for the outcome.
I wanted to ask you just something about training, in particular of officers. Commissioner Togel Monday was talking about how the need for, rather than just paper and pen testing of police academy trainees, actually having more scenario-based training. So something like this, would it have occurred on the street, they would be able to handle it better. Is that something that you see that needs to be done more, or what more in training would you like to see?
Well, let me just say we do have scenario-based training because I've been to the academy, so I've seen the scenarios that they're confronted with in some cases. I just think that it's not just about the training, it's about the testing and the kind of officers, and a lot of intervention. You're talking about a young officer. I don't know what interventions could have taken place ahead of time. I don't know what testing or oversight that we're doing, but whatever we're doing, we need to do more of it, and I think that we'll see our training strengthening. That is a part of the Department of Justice's mandate, so we're looking forward to that. Thank you, everybody.
Do you have any update on the search for the police commissioner?
Nope, not yet. Thank you. Oh, when you all go outside, please, the mobile workforce is out front. We got little coverage over that, and this is moving around neighborhoods in our community. We're actually going to neighborhoods, to communities, with jobs and opportunities for people to work. So please visit the mobile workforce. It's right out front.
58 already hired.
58 people just in less than a month on the street. Okay? Thank you. Already hired.
Bird or lime, either one is going to get you around the city. A really wonderful experience. At first I thought it was going to crash, but I didn't. I got really comfortable as I made that turn, so very exciting. So Baltimore, who's going to bird or lime? Let's do it. Big fun.